I've said it before, and I will say it again. No matter how much I read Omniscient Reader, I fall in love with this story more and more. And it's so good, man. Like, I'm so happy that this series consistently gets better and better by the chapter, by the arc. The character development is just incredible. All the characters in some shape or form are very essential to the plot. The world building is just absolutely excellent for what it does, with the different areas, regions, magic systems. It's so good, and the leveling system is truly just so fun as well. But on top of that, I'm just so happy that, I've talked about this before, but I'm going to always bring it up. I'm so happy that this is getting an anime adaptation. Like, it makes me so fundamentally excited, because it's like, the potential of Omniscient Reader is so high if the anime is good. I really hope, deep down inside of my heart right now, in my chest, I hope that, when the anime does come out for Omniscient Reader, I do hope that it's given the same amount of love and passion that Solo Leveling is currently getting. Solo Leveling looks incredible, and say whatever you want about it, like you love it or hate it, whatever, but I don't think anyone's really denying that the adaptation of it is just above and beyond. It is way beyond just the original source with, like, you know, the webcomic. Solo Leveling's anime has been very good, and when I take a look at that, and then I look at, like, you know, the contents of Omniscient Reader, I'm just like, I really, really hope, crossing my fingers, that we get an adaptation to the same level. Because if it is, straight up gonna say it, we're gonna have Anime of the Year. Hands down. The only thing that theoretically could beat Omniscient Reader if it's given a grade A 10 out of 10 anime adaptation would probably be either a ReZero season, maybe Mushoku Tensei Season 3, or hell, a random one, No Game No Life Season 2. That's really one of the only few things I think that could truly beat or destroy Omniscient Reader, a good anime adaptation of Omniscient Reader, if it was done right. But, let's get right into it. So, I'm making this video today to really just, do a follow-up and talk about the latest content that has been going on in the webcomic, and just, like, so much stuff has happened. I mean, like, obviously, one of the last big videos I made of Omniscient Reader was that our MC, I'll pull up the chapter here, he straight up, like, died. Like, he literally had to go to a completely different realm and stuff because he died. He got exiled from the main scenario. You had to make deals with basically outside the scenario itself. And, you know, anyone that's reading the story, you know. It was a very fascinating depiction of the world building and just how the world exists outside of the main focus point. It's a really meta and, like, fourth wall breaking type of, like, storytelling, because it's like, when you open up a book, for instance, okay, or you play a game, or you watching a movie or something, obviously you see the stuff on screen. You read the stuff on the pages, the paper, and whatever, and that's what's there. That is what is confirmed there. You could speculate and confirm what's outside the bounds of that writing, or at the bounds of the movie or the game, but technically it's not there. And we got a really interesting meta-level, like, viewpoint on what the world is like outside of the main world of the story. It's so cool, man, and it's just like, there's been a lot of little meta things that's been happening with the story as of late. One thing in particular that I'm a very, very big fan of, and I feel like this is definitely something that's really won me over, especially in these last few chapters, is the narration from the fourth wall. Now, we know that the fourth wall is this ability that our MC has had basically since the beginning. He was gifted it. We know this, but I like how the fourth wall has kind of evolved to a point to where it's more sentient, it's aware of its surroundings, it literally tries to protect its actual host, and it's also trying to talk with him in some shape or form, and even describe his actions through narration. At first glance, when you look at, like, some of the panels and stuff with the narration, when it narrates what's going on, it might be annoying and it might be used as a comedic gag, but I like the layer to that, because it's like, obviously, our character is aware of the narration and is listening to it, but actively chooses to ignore it, but it's also narration for us to give more details to what the character is doing. And it's a really nice side effect to what the fourth wall's ability is that adds a different level of reading to Omniscient Reader that honestly makes it more enjoyable than it has ever been. And it's really astounding to me, because it's like, I went to take a look at the chapter count here. We are 229 chapters. Now, I'm going to be blunt here. Actually, wait, there's more chapters now. This is page 2. We are 239 chapters. There's actually more chapters than this out if you buy the coins on this reader, like on Webtoons app to read, and I have. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I read all of them. But basically, there's like 250 something chapters, somewhere around there, maybe 260 chapters. That's a lot of chapters, and it's crazy. A series can make it this long and still feel very engaging and feel like we haven't really even fully reached like 75% of the story being done. In fact, I would say, judging by the direction the story is going, at the very least, we're about maybe halfway through the story, and there's just so much plot, revelations and story beats that's been revealed as of late that honestly, I just can't wait to see where it's going to go. So let's get into what the story is trying to do now. So basically, one of the big things in the latest chapters is that we got reintroduced to a character that has been gone basically since the first, 15, 20 or so chapters. I forget the exact chapter count, but this guy right here, he was exiled. I mean, we get to see a brief flashback in this chapter of him, but he was someone that killed a demon back in the original scenarios at the beginning of the story. He was exiled. We didn't really know what happened to him. It was implied that he might have died or whatever. He was just left in his own devices. But thanks to circumstances, thanks to really the devil's luck, to be honest with you, he survived. He's kind of been changed forever, but he's getting a reintroduction into the story and becoming more of a central focus character. And I like that. I like seeing a character that was kind of put on the back burner for literally hundreds of chapters actually becoming relevant again, because it shows the gradual skill and build-up of the writer to be able to do this. Because it's like, obviously, this isn't a plot point that just, came out of nowhere. It's not. We've known of the existence of the demon realm and demons and demon kings long before this arc and even the previous arc. We knew of them because obviously we were told them. We knew that they were completely against all angels and good aligned entities and stuff in constellations. We know that, you could draw their ire and they might come after you in some way in scenarios. And, that plot point has always been there. We have always known about it since the beginning. And I'm glad that after hundreds of chapters, that plot point is very relevant and is being utilized. It's grade A stuff, man. It's kind of like when an author sits down and they have confidence within their own story to know that, they're going to put a little drop of foreshadowing here. They're going to put a little bit of a setup here maybe at the beginning, and they're going to sit on it, not for 10 chapters, not for 15, not for 30, not for 50, not even 100. They're going to sit on that plot point for maybe 200 plus chapters, and then they're going to bring it up, and it's going to blow everybody's mind and be like, holy crap, that's relevant again. And that's insane. I like that because it makes read-throughs, rereads of stories, even better as well, especially if you have that long, gradual build-up. And like I said, this arc is honestly shaping up to be the best arc of Omniscient Reader yet. Now, obviously, there's a lot of stuff I'm leaving out. One of the big things is that the main scenario, or the technical scenario that's keeping our MC alive, is a revolution. Basically revolting against the Duke, causing a new Demon King, getting rid of all the executioners. There's a lot going on. But basically, our MC, he's in quite the pickle. He is in a body that's basically deteriorating if he does anything wrong or uses too many abilities, but he's trying his best to stay alive, so to speak. And I do like how there is this limitation to him, because obviously in the last arc and towards the end of the arc, he became a constellation. He became extremely powerful. He is overwhelmingly powerful now, and I like that there is limitations to him to where he doesn't feel just outright broken. However, there is something I do want to state, and I noticed it especially a lot with this arc. Constellations are starting to play more of a role. They're starting to play more of an active role on the front stage than what was actually in the past. For instance, normally up to this very point within the story of Omniscient Reader, it was usually just the incarnations, the people in the scenarios that were, so to speak, doing stuff. But ever since, 2 to 3 arcs ago, we have definitely seen more interactions of constellations and different entities and gods and stuff, basically, with massive stories and, being able to affect the scenarios themselves coming into play and playing a major role. I mean, we even see within this that, since he's a constellation, he's no longer technically an incarnation, he's a constellation. He's able to do a lot more crazier stuff, and he's also restricted by it. But we also see other ones that we've been known for a lot, like Secret Plotter, to the Demonic Judge of Fire and stuff, doing a lot more stuff within the story, hands-on, than we ever saw. And it showcases that the power ceiling of the story is increasing, that it's no longer just incarnations a part of the scenario, it is constellations a part of the scenario. And I guess this is a good thing to segue into now where the story is building up towards. I think what's really important about the constellations taking an active role is showcasing that they are not immune to what has been going on within the story. That constellations will now start to have to probably fight for survival as well, or they might end up dying as well to the very scenarios that they've been profiting off of for so very long. I think that's pretty cool. I feel like that will definitely be an eventual arc. Eventually, it's definitely going to happen, and I think that, you know, that's the next step up. Basically, once there's enough constellations, once there is enough people that is no longer incarnations but constellations, it's going to result where the next scenarios is just straight up going to be constellations going after each other, which I think will be cool, because there's definitely been a lot of build-up and foreshadowing, like, for instance, Secret Plotter, that has been set up since the very beginning. I can't wait to see some of the reveals and stuff of them, and what they look like, what they do, what their abilities are. Yeah, you get the point. So, yeah, I mean, there's some major setup, but, obviously, let's talk about the relevant stuff that's happening within this arc. So one of the big things is obviously people around in RMC's friend group is starting to realize that he's alive. To some degree. They don't really think he's dead. And now they're actively trying to find him. They realize this, and they're doing anything they can to discover his whereabouts, so to speak. And it feels like the main story is probably going to be forced into the demon realm sooner or later. And whatever's been going on here with this passive stuff is basically, it's not going to be relevant much longer. But, one thing in particular is that there is a Dokkaebi, aka like one of these little gremlins here, that has been born now next to Dokucha. And I think that that is a very important aspect of the story where it's going right now, is because we are now getting to see a birth of basically a Dokkaebi, and how they can be nurtured into either a good entity or a bad entity, because they feast on stories and stuff. They love stories, they love good storytelling, and obviously they're the controller of, like, streams and stuff. So I'm glad to see, like, RMC is raising one now, actually trying to take care of it and raise one and allow it to actually be different than what we have seen. It's an interesting perspective, just seeing, like, the world building expand upon that, and how he might actually truly become an owner of a channel, technically, since he is currently raising one. Just the story of Omniscient Reader keeps getting better and better, honestly, by the chapter. I've loved the progression, and especially the art development as well. And actually, I have something relevant to show with that. So take a look here with this art direction. I'm going to go back up to the top here. I think it's super, super important. So look at her face real quick. Just look at the design of her face. And now look at this. That's her. This is Chapter 1 for clarification. Chapter 1 of Omniscient Reader. Chapter 239 of Omniscient Reader. The artwork quality is insane. The difference of 200 chapters, gentlemen. This is what it looks like. Gonna say, I love Omniscient Reader. Good series, man. It always leaves me with just a smile. It honestly always creeps in on me to where I want to read the novel. I really want to read the novel so bad. I've had people send it to me and tell me, hey, you can read it here and all that, and I really, really have been tempted so many times to just sit down and read it, because it's such a good story, and I know the story is done, I know it is finished in novel form, but I really love the webcomic and what it's been like since the very beginning. But I guess that's it. I wanted to talk about, do a little bit of fanboying on the series. I've just, as you can see, I've just enjoyed it. I'm talking about this as a fan. I'm not even trying to critically review this. I'm just wanting to talk about it. It's super fun, and it's one of those series I just consistently have been reading on a weekly basis, basically for years at this point. Dare say I read it more consistently than pretty much almost anything I read. It's pretty insane, honestly. But if you are interested in reading this for whatever reason, and you're watching this video and you have not seen the series or read the series, link is in the description. Check it out for yourself. Extremely good series. Cannot recommend it enough. And once again, as a reminder, there is an anime coming out for this. I don't know exactly when, but there is an anime. So look forward to that one as well. But I love you guys. Be safe. Stay healthy. Chibi out.